What is up, everyone? I'm Rose and welcome back to my channel, the #1 place for financial education, empowerment, and inspiration. About a month ago, I posted a video about magic formula investing, a supercharged stock investing strategy that has generated 20 to 30% returns over the last few decades. So this video is the perfect follow-up for anyone who's interested in implementing that for your own portfolio, but needs a very tactical step-by-step tutorial on how to do it. When I started using the magic formula for my SEP IRA this year, I discovered that while the magic formula sounds great on paper, the actual implementation of it is not that straightforward. The secret to doing the magic formula right is keeping really good records. Lucky for you, I'm a total spreadsheet nerd and I've come up with the perfect step-by-step system. So I'm gonna share all that with you in this video, and I'm also gonna share my spreadsheet with you as well. So if that sounds good to you, give this video a like, and with that, we're gonna jump right in. First of all, if you haven't watched my original video about the magic formula, make sure to watch that because it gives you a lot of helpful background info. Now, I don't wanna repeat myself too much in this tutorial, but here is a quick recap. So magic formula investing is like index fund investing, but on steroids. It's like if an index fund investor and Warren Buffett had a baby, you would get magic formula investing. Here's what I mean. When you buy an index fund, you own a little slice of the whole stock market. An index fund has all the things, the good stocks, the bad stocks, the mediocre stocks. There's really no criteria whatsoever for what stocks make it into the index fund. It's just, if it's a stock and it's in the S&P 500 index, it's in the index fund. Not exactly selective. On the other hand, an investor like Warren Buffett would do extensive research on each of the stocks that he buys, and he'll only have about 8 to 10 major stocks in his portfolio. So the magic formula is a mix of both. It's a blend of index funds and selective stock investing the way Warren Buffett does it. You are going to be selective about the stocks because the magic formula filters through 2 key metrics. And again, I talk about that in this video. But you also are diversified just like an index fund would be because you own about 20 to 30 stocks. You're not as strict as Warren Buffett, but you're not as lenient as the index fund. The magic formula falls somewhere in the middle. So the magic formula is based on the fundamental principle that if you buy good companies at cheap prices, then you're gonna do well. And what's special about the magic formula is that it's pinpointed the exact financial metrics to help you do that without you having to do any extra research. There's really nothing magical about the formula. There's a lot of studies that demonstrate that an approach like this of buying good companies at cheap prices does outperform the market. So now that you have some background info and it's refreshed your memory about the magic formula, let's get into the actual tutorial. Step 1 is to make 3 key decisions. Before we start buying anything, we need to figure out first what the total dollar amount you have to invest is. And for me, I'm investing in my SEP IRA, which is a type of retirement account for self-employed people. And I have about $14,000 in there. So for you, if let's say you're doing it in your Roth IRA and you have $5,000, then that's the total amount you have to invest. For me, it's about $14,000. It's a little more than that, 14,300. The second thing you need to decide is how many stocks you're going to end up with in your portfolio. And Joel Greenblatt in the book, he says anywhere from 20 to 30 stocks is fine. If you want to err on the side of more diversification, then go for 30. If you want to err on the side of less diversification, less work, and possibly more ups and downs and volatility, then go for 20. I just kind of decided on a 21 just because it's a nice even number in terms of, makes it really easy to just buy. It's a nice clean number because the thing about this number is we're not going to be buying all 21 stocks at once. The magic formula wants you to buy them in batches spaced out over the course of almost a year. So Joel Greenblatt says you could do, say, 7 stocks every 3 months so that you end up with 21 at the end of 9 months. Or you could do 5 stocks every 2 months, so you end up with 30. I chose 21 because I'm going to do it every 3 months. Every 3 months, I'm going to buy 7 stocks. So these are the 3 things you need to figure out. The total dollar amount you have to invest, how many stocks you want in your portfolio ultimately, and based off of that, how often you need to buy stocks and how many you'll buy each time. Okay, so given that you are, well, in my example, I'm going to invest $14,000 and I'm going to have 21 stocks total. That means I need to buy, just doing a little division here, about $680 of each stock. Okay, so these are the 4 pieces of information actually that you need to know before we get on with it. And now I'm going to just show you a little bit of my actual portfolio. Well, surprise, surprise, I actually bought all 21 stocks already because I implemented this a little bit earlier this year. So my tutorial today is going to be more like a mock tutorial because I don't actually need to do anything yet. But I made this spreadsheet, and I will tell you how to download this spreadsheet or get a copy of it later on. But what I did was on April 1st, I bought my first 7 stocks. And then 3 months later, on July 1st, I bought my my next batch of 7 stocks right here. And then 3 months later, on October 1st, I bought my last batch of 7 stocks. So now I have a portfolio with 21 stocks in it. And each stock, I only bought about $690 worth. So my position in each stock is an equal dollar amount of $690. And again, this is exactly how the book explains it and how Joel Greenblatt wants you to do it. And the total of that adds up to about $14,000, which is what I have in my SEP IRA. So this is what your portfolio would look like after you finish implementing everything. But let's say you're just sitting down from scratch and you don't have any of this. Okay, so here is a blank copy of my spreadsheet. Let's say I am sitting down from scratch and I just gotta do this from the very beginning. So what I need to do is to note today's date. I'm going to write it down here, date purchased. Today's date is October 28th, 2019, and I'm going to buy 7 stocks today. So I gotta fill this in right here. And then 3 months later, I'm going to buy another batch of stocks. So basically I've mapped it out. I'm going to buy 7 stocks today on October 28th, and then January 26th, 2020, I need to buy another 7 stocks, and then April 25th of next year, I need to buy my last batch of 7 stocks, so that will give me 21 stocks when I'm done. And from our decision making from before, we know that we need to buy about $680 worth of each stock. So in this column in purchase amount, it's going to be around $680. That's what I'm going to aim for. But because you can't buy fractional shares of stock, you can only buy whole numbers. And depending on what the purchase price is, it's going to be not exactly $680, but we're going to aim for equal dollar amounts of each stock as close as possible. So knowing that we're aiming for $680 of 7 stocks each, now it's time to figure out what are those 7 stocks going to be. And the way to do that is we need to go to the Magic Formula Investing website. This is a resource that Joel Greenblatt, the creator of the formula, put together for us. And you can just create an account for free. You need to log in to use the tool. So once you've created an account and logged in, I'm already in, just go to the Stock Screener tab, and we're going to screen for a list of stocks to choose are 7. So I'm going to click Get Stocks. Now, just a note about these fields here, the minimum market cap. This means you can filter out companies that are small according to a minimum size. The book says that 50 million is a good place to start, but if you feel more comfortable investing in only very, very large companies, then feel free to increase this number. You could put 100 million, 500 million. You could even put 1 billion. You need to put 3 zeros in there for that to happen. And then you'll just get bigger size companies, which generally means more stability and less ups and downs in your portfolio. So get stocks. I'm only going to buy 7 stocks, so it doesn't really matter whether I pull up a list of 30 or 50. I just need at least 7 stocks. So this is going to be the list of top 30 companies ranked according to Magic Formula metrics that all have a minimum market cap of 1 billion. Now, you can just pick 7 companies at random from this list. These are all top ranked according to those 2 metrics, the return on capital and earnings yield. So I usually just have fun with it. If I recognize any companies, I might buy those. Sometimes I just go by alphabet. I'll just try to buy one in the A category, one that starts with a B, one that starts with a E, whatever. Just buy 7 stocks. And statistically, it doesn't matter which ones that you pick from this list. It can just be any 7 from the list because they're all top ranked. So let's say I want to buy this stock as one of my 7, ABBV. I'm going to just take a note of the ticker here. And then I'll also do BIIB, Biogen. I'm just going to go through the list and pick 7 companies at random. Okay, so I have my 7 stocks. These are what I'm going to buy. And remember, I'm trying to buy $680 of each stock. So that's what I'm aiming for. But whether we'll be able to actually buy that amount, it's not going to be exact because I mentioned earlier, we can't buy fractional shares. So we're just going to have to just get as close to $680 for each stock position as possible. And the way to do that is we need to first find at what purchase price each stock is trading at. You can Google it or you can look it up directly in the trading platform that you're using. I use Fidelity. So if you pull up ABBV, you'll see that it's trading at $78.33 right now. So I'm going to put that here, $78.33. And I'm trying to get as close to $680 as possible. So let's see how many shares it takes to get to that number. All right, if I buy 8.68 shares, I'll have exactly $680 of ABBV stock. However, we can't do fractional shares, so I'm going to just have to round down and buy 8 shares. So I'm just going to repeat the process for all 7 of these stocks to see how many shares I need to buy of each and what the current purchase price is. So let me do that right now. So I've done all the math. I've looked up the current market price for each stock, and I've estimated and rounded down to the closest number of shares that I can buy in order to keep my position at $680 per stock. And as you'll see, it's not going to be exact, but it's going to be close enough. So now that you know how many shares you want to buy and at what price you can get it at, it's time to actually execute those orders. So I'm going to open the trading window and I'll walk you through how to place a trade. So you pull up the stock with the ticker symbol. The action is to buy. We know that we want to buy 8 shares. So quantity is 8. Order type. Now this is where you have some leeway. The only 2 that you want to consider are the market order or the limit order. The other types are kind of just trading strategies that we don't need to get into here. But the only ones you're going to consider are the market order or the limit order. So a market order is where it'll just buy the stock at market. So right now the market is at $78.33, but whatever it's at in the next minute or the second that you place the trade, it's going to buy it at that price. So there is a little bit of uncertainty there because, maybe the stock like shoots up the minute that you buy it, or it even shoots down and you get even a lower price than this. So there's just a little bit of uncertainty. If you want absolute certainty, you can do it a limit order, which is where you specify the exact level that you would buy it at. So if you want to just really try and do better for yourself, you can put $78, save 33 cents, and then it wouldn't buy anything unless it could get it at $78. Now, the risk here is you place the order, it never gets to $78, and this order never gets executed, so you never end up buying the stock. And it is quite manual and labor intensive here, so I really don't recommend you do limit orders for the magic formula, just because there's so much to keep track of already, and most of us are just going to get busy and forget about the order. So I really recommend market order. You'll see that it's often going to be very close to the price that you see here, so there isn't a lot of slippage. So go ahead and select market order, preview the order, make sure you're buying the correct quantity, 8 shares of ABBV, and again, because of rounding, I couldn't get it exactly at $680, but it's close enough, $626, and then you place the order. So that's how you do it. I'm going to just go ahead and repeat this for each of the 7 stocks in the portfolio. So once you've executed all your trades and they've gone through, just confirm what the actual buy price was. And it may be better or worse than what we have here, but just make sure you update those numbers and then get the actual calculation as to what the position size is. So now we have 7 stocks, and these are my position sizes in each one. So it's not perfect, but it's close enough. I wanted to get as close to 680 as possible, but that wasn't exactly possible. So there you have it. Now you have your first batch of 7. 3 months after today, you're going to want to buy another 7 stocks, just the way I showed you. And then 3 months after that, you're going to buy another 7. And so in 9 months, you're going to have 21 stocks in your portfolio, assuming 21 is the number you're doing. And then each stock is supposed to be in your portfolio for up to 1 year. After 1 year, the stock needs to be sold. So this batch of 7, exactly 1 year from today, which is about October 27th of 2020, you're going to want to sell all 7 of these stocks. Regardless of whether it's at a gain or a loss, you're going to just sell it. And then with that new cash that you have from the proceeds of the sale, you're going to buy another 7 magic formula stock. And every time you sit down to buy more stocks, you need to refresh the list and work with the most recent list of companies. So I'll just pick another 7 from here. What's key here is to just keep really good records, so you remember when you bought it and when it's time to sell. And then when you do sell it, you just make note of the date that you actually sold it. And it would be good to just keep track of what your selling price was. Just keep track of your P&L if you want to. Really, all of these columns are optional, but I just kind of like to do it for my own purposes. I haven't been doing the strategy long enough to have sold anything yet, but on April 1st, 2020, it would be time for me to sell my first batch of stocks. A couple comments on a few questions that might come up. One of the questions I get is, what happens if you need to add more money to your portfolio? So then your total pool of money increases. So right now I did everything according to this fixed number of $14,000. But if next year, if I need to add $5,000 to it or whatever, because I'm saving, then I have basically almost $20,000 to invest. So the way to handle this is, once it's time to sell your first batch of stocks. So in my case, this was the first batch of stocks that I bought. And when it comes April 1st, 2020, I would sell all of these and buy a new batch of 7 to replace these. Instead of buying a new batch of 7 stocks at $680 each, I would buy a new batch of stocks at a higher number. I didn't do the math, but I don't know, $800 per stock. So, and then from then on, every new batch would be that higher dollar amount per share, per stock. So that's kind of how you could handle growing amounts of money. It does make it a little more complicated, but certainly one you can definitely get around. Other questions that might come up, if, for example, the stock that you have in your portfolio, let's say on April 1st, 2020, it's time for me to sell all of these and replace them with 7 new ones. If you'll find that sometimes these stocks are still on that list. So I log back into the Magic Formula investing website, and a year later, ACOR might still be on that list. If it is, then you can either choose to keep it and not replace this stock, or you can sell it. The FAQ section of the website doesn't tell you which way is better. It's really up to you. So in my case, if it's still on the list, I'll probably just keep it there because it's just less trading and transactions and stuff to keep track of. So that's one additional detail. If there's other questions you have, I know all these kinds of little details come up when you're actually sitting down to do it. So you can always just message me on Instagram or leave a comment below this video, and I will try to help you out. So you can download this whole spreadsheet. I have a blank copy for you below this video. Just click the link and I'll send you a copy of that spreadsheet. Oh, something else very, very important. If you are doing all this within an IRA or some sort of tax advantaged account, you can totally ignore what I'm about to say. But Joel Greenblatt says you really need to be conscious of taxes when you do this strategy. So if you sell a stock at a profit before 1 year is up, you're going to pay short-term capital gains, which is basically a lot higher than long-term capital gains. The difference is, from like 30% to like 15%. It's a big difference. So if you are trading in a taxable account, then you're going to have to, I recommend looking at the book and checking the website for details on how to minimize your taxes. But I am assuming most of you are doing this inside an IRA or some type of tax advantage retirement account. So I'm not going to get into that here, but just keep that in mind. So that's kind of how it works. I hope it was helpful. I know it's a little bit confusing, and it certainly is more work than it would seem right from the get-go, but it's definitely worth it. Remember, you have to stick with the Magic Formula strategy for at least 3 years. All the stocks on the Magic Formula list are on the list precisely because they're out of favor. If they were the hot stocks that everyone is talking about at the time, like the Amazons and the Facebooks of the world, then they wouldn't be on that list because they would be too expensive. The Magic Formula has good stocks that are trading at cheap prices. What that means is it could take a little bit of time for the formula to work, and you're not gonna have high returns like instantly. It takes a little bit of patience. So the key is to strengthen your belief in the Magic Formula strategy so that you'll be able to implement it rain or shine, even when there's some periods where it's not working right away, because you got to stick with it long enough to work. Even the best investors and the best strategies underperform the market for periods of time. So don't chase returns and try to do what everyone else is doing. Just pick a good strategy like the Magic Formula, learn everything you can about it and understand why it works, and then stick with it rain or shine. People who invest like that will always come out on top. If you have any questions about the Magic Formula, feel free to ask me in the comments or DM me on Instagram at Investing with Rose. And don't forget to grab the spreadsheet right below, it's in the description, and that'll really help you just know exactly what to do when it comes time to implement your Magic Formula portfolio. And if you think this video was helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and more importantly, helps get life-changing financial education in front of more people. So join the tribe, subscribe to my channel, and I post new videos like this every Wednesday. So I'll see you next week, same time, same place.